As we continue to assess today's Bank of Canada rate cut, let's turn now to what to expect from the upcoming fiscal budget, which we are expecting on November 4th. Let's get more on this from Alexandra Spinner, professional corporation partner of tax at Crowe Soberman. And Alexandra, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
What would be the perfect budget to you in an hour or less? No, what would you like to see? What's your priority for this?
Oh, that's a great question. A wonderful budget for me would really be to I can answer that in many ways, but let's say to continue to provide increased fairness in our tax system to Canadians across the board. Of course, I'd love to see reduced tax rates. I don't really think that's coming, but that's probably what would be in my dream if I was thinking about it.
And what is fairness to you?
That's a great question. Fairness means, it can mean different things to different people, but I think ultimately fairness means to me that Canadians pay tax based on amounts that are commensurate with what they can afford. Of course, I appreciate that people who earn less income can afford to pay less tax. People who do make more can likely afford to pay more tax. But what I think is really fair is making sure that we have policies in place that give access to all Canadians based on what is it that they do, or what religion or race that they are. It's just, we make sure that we're able to provide Canadians with programming that's raised from money, really from the budgets.
And are you optimistic about that, seeing something along those lines in this budget?
It's my gut tells me is that this is going to be a bit of a quiet budget. That's my 2 cents. I'm sure, as you've been discussing, the fact that there's a Liberal minority government right now, if they are probably too drastic in any which way, the budget might not pass. I don't know. So I'm hoping to see something in there for everyone so that this budget will pass.
Well, look, I mean, there's talk of an $80 to $100 billion deficit, so there might be something for everybody in there.
It just might.
Let me get your thoughts on the idea that the government's going to file taxes for what was the number? They were under 35,000. Was that the number? 25,000? What are your thoughts on that?
You're talking about automatic tax filing?
Yeah.
I think that is fantastic. I think it's a long time coming. This has been something that's been announced many, many years ago. I would have liked to have seen it in place already. I think it's excellent. Many Canadians in Canada receive benefits that are really driven off the amount of income that they show on their tax return. But unfortunately, many Canadians don't realize they have to file a tax return in order to access the benefits. And when the law says that you only have to file the tax return if you owe tax, many people say, well, I don't owe tax. Why would I bother filing? And I think that it's really important to have automatic filing for people who perhaps maybe English isn't their first language, or perhaps maybe they find the system confusing and complex and aren't able to understand some of the complexity. I think that for people with a simple enough tax situation, automatic tax filing is an excellent move in the right direction.
Now, does that feel like that's part of the simplification, and could they extend it further in your eyes?
So I think that is the tip of the iceberg in terms of simplification. The tax system is very complex. I would say for people who are not going to be able to benefit from automatic tax filing, I don't think that automatic tax filing will ever get there for them. What I mean by that is as soon as we have any sort of exotic features of our tax returns, it could be claiming certain deductions or certain credits in our tax returns, I don't think automatic tax filing is going to work, because we have to do something. We have to tell the government, we have to tell the tax software that we're entitled to certain credits that it might not know. So, and that's really only at a slightly more complicated situation than what I would consider a very basic tax return. So I don't see that. I think that tax simplification overall is absolutely needed. But I think that we're, in a good sense, for people who are going to benefit from automatic tax filing, I think that in that situation, the tax returns are likely simple enough, or the rules that they are perhaps subject to are straightforward enough.
Now, can AI help with all this? Or how will it help with this? Or will it make it more complicated?
Great question. I really hope it helps with all this. It's actually mind-boggling to me sometimes that we're in 2025 and we don't have we don't have a system in place that can actually prepare and file tax returns for Canadians with relatively straightforward situations using AI. I think AI is a great tool that can help, I would say, basic and even maybe basic plus taxpayers file tax returns without the need of expensive accountants like myself. I mean, let's say it. There's not enough tax preparers in this country, in my opinion. And I think that having access to tools that can help people prepare tax returns on a more effective and efficient basis, I think is going to be welcome for both tax preparers and Canadians.
And now you also have some concerns, though, about the fact the budget is in the fall now and not in the spring.
I do. So historically, we would always have the federal budget be announced in springtime. And the government this year has announced that the budget's going to be in November, of course, and they're going to be moving to a fall cycle for budgeting. What concerns me about that is the following. Whenever tax rules are changed in the budget, I mean, the sky's the limit in terms of when the tax rules can be effective. But sometimes they were effective at the beginning of a certain taxation year or as of budget day, and sometimes they were prospective. For example, this change would kick in on January 1st of the following year. My concern is that when we're so close to the end of the year, any changes that are made, especially with respect to personal tax filings, any changes that are going to be effective as of November have to get into software to file for as of the end of December. And we know, of course, that our tax filing due date in Canada, there are no extensions, taxes are due, and returns have to be filed in most cases by April 30th. And I'm concerned that if there are changes that have to be reflective as of budget day, there might not be a whole lot of time for first the CRA to update the necessary calculations and schedules that they prepare to reflect the changes, and then for the tax software providers to integrate those changes into the software, and then it finally comes to us, the tax preparers. We need lead time. We want to make sure that we're preparing returns in a thoughtful way. It's still a short amount of time, but we'd like to make sure that we at least have 6 weeks, 2 months to prepare tax returns. My concern is that the closer we get with budget changes near the end of the year that have to be reflected, we might not have software with as much lead time as I would like.
What would be a possible solution for that?
I like the spring budget. From my perspective, the spring budget was nice in that it gave, when changes were made, even if a change was made as of budget day, there was lots of time for changes to be made and reflected in software. I think what's also really important is that if there are going to be changes that are made as of budget day, it's very important for the government to release as much information as they can at that time, explaining the changes, providing examples of how and when the changes could be applicable. We've had some situations in past where changes have been announced and it's been indicated that perhaps they would be effective as of a certain time, but we haven't been given clear enough guidance as to what the change would be. And we're kind of left in limbo trying to understand how to file tax returns on that basis. So if there are going to be changes that have to get reflected immediately, my hope would be that we get some concrete guidance from the government on how they expect the changes to play out, so that we're not left scratching our heads trying to figure out how to fit square pegs into round holes.
All right, fingers crossed for that one. Alexandra, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Alexandra Spinner is a professional corporation partner of tax at Crowe Soberman.